Greetings and salutations, fellow peasants. It's the 28th of November, 2025, and I am Thaddeus Satori. Today I'd like to share some thoughts on how we got here and offer some ideas on how we may best weather the storm. Pun intended. If you have listened before, you will likely know that I believe humanity's big break from nature and each other began with the surplus of calories generated by agriculture and the resulting migration into ever larger settlements. Prior to that, we were able to kick out or even kill those who were a threat to others or to the tribe itself. But with the growth of cities, it became impossible for us to know everyone personally, so we had to switch over to a far less fair or efficient system of laws. As populations grew, those with the biggest egos and the most confidence, those who were the most selfish and lacking in empathy, began to rise to the top. From their positions of power, they programmed the masses to believe that they were, if not divine, at least divinely inspired, and that they and their followers truly were superior to the people around them. We're special. We can see this today with the continued destruction of the natural world for profit and the wars and threats of war happening around the globe. We can also see it quite clearly in the obscene hoarding of wealth while so many go hungry. The monkey simply didn't get too far from the tree, as far as I'm concerned. I have often said that history is just a series of stories of stronger people killing weaker people and stealing their shit. I realize that this is an overly simplistic view, but conquest is probably the most widely recorded evidence of our collective insanity. We need only look at the history of empires, colonization, and genocide, ancient pyramids, castles, and cathedrals, to trace our trajectory. We have been taught to admire and revere mass murderers and thieves like Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, and Genghis Khan. It's not that they were all bad, but think about it. Not only were such leaders able to get the peasants to leave their families and comfortable beds to go off and kill, conquer, and enslave, they convinced their minions that it was both a right and a duty to do so. Of course, more egalitarian and peaceful societies did exist, but they mostly got killed off and/or assimilated. I can testify to this with personal experiences I had while driving a cab in Alaska. Around Thanksgiving time, I would ask my native passengers if they celebrated the holiday, and for the most part they did. I thought to myself, damn, how whack is that? I genuinely believe that most people are satisfied when their basic needs are met. But I would also argue that as we get closer to the top of what is largely accepted as success, the concentration of psychopaths, narcissists, and megalomaniacs increases. And, since the morals, desires, and values of those on top are instilled into those below, we peasants tend to protect and defend the very people and practices that are screwing us over and may ultimately get us all killed. It's pretty fascinating to witness, really. Some years ago, I was watching the news on the electricity shortage in the Australian state of Victoria. The entire debate seemed to center around just two things. First, who should the scapegoat for the system be? And second, how do we get more? What I don't recall is any talk of simply using less. Apparently, that idea never occurred to anyone. This obsession with continuous growth seems to have worked for most of our history, but it evolved over a time when the human population was low and there were still new places to expand into, if you didn't mind killing and displacing the people who were already there, of course. But now we have run out of planet and are well along in the process of destroying the very life support system that has given us this rare and beautiful gift of existence. We are rapidly reaching the point of no return. So the time is now to either change the system or just relax and ride it over the cliff. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. From the Bible, for those of you not familiar. Our current economic system has evolved over thousands of years and is a power structure based on the belief that we are separate from the natural world and can, therefore, exploit it, right along with those people who we consider to be lesser. Of course, future generations are never considered at all. I am currently living a few miles from a lake in South America, and I asked a local friend if you could eat the fish out of the lake. He said, "Absolutely not. I have since learned that you shouldn't even swim in the damn thing." I don't know the specific history, but I imagine that the men who made their fortunes polluting the lake did so by ignoring the people who relied on it and never even thought about their children and grandchildren from whom they were stealing. I would also guess that these selfish twats are long dead, but hey, at least they had a good ride, right? It's all about me, man. The tobacco industry has been fighting for centuries to continue making profits by killing people with their legalized drug. In the late 1940s, the scientist Claire Patterson, charged with dating the age of the Earth, began collecting evidence of lead contamination on a global scale. His research determined that it could only come from one source, the burning of leaded gasoline. But, addicted to profit, the lead industry fought tooth and nail to discredit Patterson and his research. After about 50 years of legal battles, the lead additive for on-road vehicles was finally banned in the U.S. in 1996. We can't rush into these things when shareholder earnings are at stake. Side note, you could also argue that it took more than 2,400 years to largely ban lead, since that was when it was first recognized as a toxin. The fossil fuel industry has been fighting for decades to protect their obscene incomes and maintain their death grip on the planet and its inhabitants. As recently as mid-November 2025, at the 30th annual UN climate meetings, symbolically held in a rainforest town in Brazil, by the way, the second largest delegation at this COP30, behind that of only the host country, was made up of representatives from the fossil fuel industry. It was like asking drug dealers to help formulate a plan to eradicate drug use. The handful of interests that they represented threatened to sink the entire facade of actually doing something if there was any direct reference to the phrases phase out or transition away from fossil fuels. Bear in mind here that as early as 1977, even the scientists at Exxon knew that their products were causing catastrophic climate change. This system is so messed up that these people are forced into a position that makes them sacrifice their children and grandchildren on the altar of money. Tell me that's not batshit crazy. I don't blame the ruling class or the peasants who support them. This system has been evolving for millennia, and most of us have been programmed to support and perpetuate it. Many have bought into the ideas that protecting the natural world is a luxury we can't afford, that we should never be satisfied, that wealth equates to happiness, that some people are just more damn special than others, and that technology will save us. Unfortunately, I don't think Mother Earth got the memo. Before I offer a few suggestions on how we peasants need to start taking back control, I would like to retell the Cherokee parable of the two wolves. It goes about like this. A grandfather was talking to his grandson and said, "Right now, there is a terrible fight going on inside of me, and it's a fight between two wolves. One wolf is greed, anger, arrogance, vengeance, and hatred. The other is selflessness, acceptance, humility, forgiveness, and compassion. And this same fight is going on inside of you and inside of everyone." The boy pondered his words, then looked at his grandfather and asked, "Well, grandfather, which wolf will win?" The grandfather replied, "The one you feed." I'd have to conclude that we've been feeding the wrong wolf for a long, long time. As I observe the rapid changes in our planet's systems and the dismantling of the social fabric, I'm not exactly filled with confidence that the greedy bastards at the top can or will help. It's my belief that we need to start at the individual level and expand outward. We can begin by eating healthier and cheaper home-cooked meals, protecting our sleep, and doing simple physical and deep breathing exercises for just a few minutes per day. Take a walk, start small. Talk with the people around you, and teach yourself to become a good listener. Stop buying brand names and start visiting second-hand shops. Personally, I refuse to get ripped off by some huge company that pays pennies to a kid in a sweatshop and then expects me to give them free advertising by wearing their logo on my tit. Make a shopping list and just one trip to the supermarket every week or so. When on sale, stock up on non-perishables or long-lasting products. Canned goods, ketchup, and pasta are good examples. Use the calculator on your phone to see which products offer the best bang for your buck, For example, I often find that it's cheaper per ounce or gram to buy two smaller containers than to buy one big one. Simply divide the price by the quantity. Buy only what you need and not what you want. Sure, it might be nice to have the newest phone, but this older one still works just fine. If you tend to buy things on impulse, pause and tell yourself that if you still want the thing in a week, you can buy it then. You've lived your entire life without it, so another week won't matter. Buy less and buy locally. Support your local businesses and markets. Build community with your neighbors. The first step is just to go out and introduce yourself. Maybe later some of you can organize a barbecue or potluck at a local park. Start vegetable gardens and barter different items. Learn how to preserve and store food without refrigeration. Find out who has what skills and gadgets. You may find a neighbor who knows how to fix something for you or loan you the tool to do it yourself. You won't waste money hiring a professional for a simple job or buying some tool that you might only use once. Side note, when it comes to electricity, hire the professional. That shit can kill you. Anyway, pay a neighborhood kid to mow your lawn or shovel your driveway. Start a mulch pile for grass and leaves, which you can later use to fertilize your garden. It makes no sense to put organic, soil-creating material into plastic bags and haul it off to a landfill. Prepare emergency supplies for the inevitable and more frequent natural disasters coming our way. Don't rely on outside help. There's loads of stuff on the internet that show you how to do it. Find a safe place for everyone to gather in case of an emergency and do some practice runs. And when the government advises you to leave the area, leave if you can. They have a lot more information than you, and you won't be sucking up resources from others who don't have the luxury of getting out. The last suggestions I'd like to offer are: participate in your democracy while you still have one. Pay close attention to what's happening. Stop identifying with individuals, groups, and labels. Protest peacefully. Boycott. Vote for those who share your values and keep track of what they actually do. You can always vote them out if they prove themselves to be liars. And for God's sake, stop trying to micromanage everything and everyone. Recognize what you can control and what you can't. I can't even control my own kids, for Christ's sake, much less strangers. And if you believe in an all-powerful and all-knowing God, stop trying to do his job for him. He's perfect and you're not. He understands his plan and you don't. How about we just stay in our own lane, follow the golden rule, and let him sort things out? Finally, I want to share a wise old proverb that helps me stay grounded. It goes like this: if it hurts your feet to walk in this world, you can either carpet the whole world or just put on a pair of shoes. That's all I've got for now. Take care of yourselves and those around you. Engage in life. Thanks for listening. Cheers.